Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Utgod, the first giant. The Utgod made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Yukot relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers, like your parents, find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Koboa La Aventura Part 2. This time hosted on the wonderful channel Utopia. Last time, if you missed our Part 1, make sure to go check it out after this show on TTRPGIFs, Twitch, and also the Twitter. You should check out TTRPGIFs Twitter because Robo is an amazing pillar of the community who everybody on the screen here dearly, dearly loves. And you can't see it, but I have flustered Robo, and so my day is complete. But not yet. Not yet, because we have something very fun and special for you guys. We are here because we have a wonderful story to tell in the beautiful setting of Koboa. Koboa is a beautiful South American and Latin American setting compatible with D&D 5e, Pathfinder, Black Flag, and more. And you guys need to please sign up for the newsletter to go support Koboa. So you can go to koboasetting.com to sign up. You'll also get a little sneak peek at the beautiful book, which I'm very excited about for it to come out, and you'll get a bit of a peek into the world in today's adventure. So first and foremost, before I recap what we did last time, I'd like to introduce our beautiful, amazing players and their beautiful, amazing characters. So briefly, who are you? What are your pronouns? Who do you play? What are their pronouns? We'll start with Katrina.
Hi there, I'm Katrina. My pronouns are she and they, and I am playing Paula, whose pronouns are she and her. She is an elf, and I should really have her character sheet open. But she's also a bard, and she's got beautiful big curls and a beautiful big mouth, and so she's the de facto voice of the group in many social situations.
And then we're going to hop over to Randy.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Randy Alvarenga, and I am playing Paulo, our Ciao character, also a bard. But very different vibes in that let's just say he likes the color red and blue a lot and is full of enthusiasm at all times. In his hair, he has long curly hair with red and blue sort of streaks in it, and red and blue sort of fairy-like wings that he can use to fly around and be a protector of sorts when he can to his friends. He's very loyal to them.
I love that. And finally, we've got Jax. Chris.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris. I'm playing Jax, he, they, who is a warlock of the Elder Serpent. He's a chaotic little guy. He's small in nature. He's got kind of wood bark skin with sort of almost fish-like scales. And forgive the thundering, I live in Florida. But beyond that, he's just very excited to see where this adventure goes, even though he's had a very weird encounter with a llama. So we'll see how that relationship goes.
You know, the llamas have been having a really weird time too. But before we join them, I also forgot to say hi, everybody. I'm Brandy Rose, pronouns he, him. You can find me at the Brandy Rose. I'm our GM for today and the showrunner, the producer. I just don't do the tech. Dude, I did not do that. That's Robo. Robo is amazing. So before we rejoin the llamas, let's dial the clock back a little bit. So we started off with our 3 stone seekers, our adventurers, our wonderful little group coming off of the high of a successful mission and traveling to, reward themselves a little bit, celebrate, and just take joy in the beautiful culture that surrounds them, the plethora of cultures that surround them. They went to the Grand Marseilla Arts Festival. Now, the Arts Festival is full of beautiful food, beautiful people, dancing, singing, storytelling, fine jewelry, as some of us knew more than others. And as they were taking part in this wonderful festival, they met some old friends and they made some new. Alo would really like it if you guys were friends, but they're very shy. And I don't think they're going to be able to really say that in so many words. You did, however, give them a note that we the viewers do not know what it says. I, the GM, also don't know what it says because I, the GM, figured I'd wait till the end of the session to ask. So we have a nice little surprise coming up at the end. But we met this wonderful, if shy, Gintak healer who introduced you to the giver of your quest, Mitsa. Mitsa was a rogue, a demon form individual who's also a stone seeker who was injured in the mission that she has now sent you on to complete in her stead. A mission in which you are to find a temple that has been taken over, ransacked, somehow affected by neo-conquistadors that she valiantly fought away. But within it and around it, possibly, you don't know the details yet, there are going to be beautiful native creatures of Koboa. And they're in need of your help. They were suffering under the colonization. They're hurt. They're scared. They might lash out, but they need help anyway. They need compassion. You guys were given healing orbs. Well, even 1 healing orb. The others are currently in use. More than 1 animal can fit in a healing orb, but you do have to gain their trust, talk them into going in willingly. If they're in the orb, they're basically in a nice little magical clinic where they will be healed, they will be taken care of, they will be able to be transported and eventually let back out to live their full, happy, natural lives without the effects of colonization weighing on them and their minds. So, without further ado, we left off with you guys in the middle of the beautiful Tala rainforest. It's raining. It's the rainforest. It's raining. Of course it's raining. But your trek is made easier because you met mildly offended and then made friends with, well, not offended. You did scare them a little, though. 3 llamas. They're lovely. You guys were able to communicate with them because of our wonderful Tala. So, you have 3, I'm not going to lie, very chatty llamas. They've been talking nonstop. They're not really giving you good information. They're really just making small talk, and they're talking a little amongst themselves. And one of them's just talking to themselves about the patch of grass they saw earlier that they would like to revisit because it was really good. And you just won't believe how good it was. It was like the perfect amount of ripeness. It's like when you get an avocado on like just the right day, and that doesn't really happen that much. So the other 2 have mentioned they've been on this for about like 2 days. They have not been able to find the patch of grass again because they don't remember where it was, but they've been talking about it nonstop. So you guys have had some entertainment for the next like 10-15 minutes as you have trekked deeper and deeper into the forest on the backs of these 3 llamas. And then you come to a temple. This temple is about 20 feet tall and has 2 layers, like a 2-tiered cake. 1 layer, it's very nicely angled. It's like 2 levels of a pyramid. So if you think pyramid, you think like maybe you think of ones in Mexico, you think of Chichen Itza. It looks a little bit like you sliced the middle 2 layers of Chichen Itza and set it into the ground. And it is slightly overgrown. And there's some details about it. We'll see if you notice. But what you will notice is that it has been attacked. It's been censored in the way that is very clear somebody's taken a mallet and a chisel and either carved out or carved off some of the initial carvings and fixtures, some of the wording, some of the possibly instructions. You don't know. One thing that is most important is that where there should be windows, there are just carvings of windows. There are no actual windows. And what you'll notice also, there's no door. There's no entrance, actually. It's a beautiful, beautiful pyramid. It's beautifully carved. Even the bits that have been attacked, you see underneath it the underlying original beauty. But there's no door or sign of where a door should be. And it's kind of covered in moss and, it is raining a bit. It's not heavy. Your sight's not massively impeded, but it is raining. It's nice, fat, warm drops. So you're not cold, but it's wet. You don't want to be standing there. Let's see. I would like a perception roll from all three of you to start us off to see what other details you might notice and feel.
Okay. First roll of the game.
I'm at a 4.
I'm
but
at a
actually,
10.
I'll check my sheet really quick. Let me make sure. I'm pretty sure.
Perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am
So
at a good old 14.
Yeah, 14.
10.
And you were okay. And that was like with your modifier?
Yeah, I have nothing.
Okay. That's okay. We had that last time as well. You'll notice other more important things. So let's start with the 10. You notice something, you don't know what. Something is off. You'll probably notice this because the llamas have noticed. They have more than a 10 or a 14. They're uncomfortable. They've stopped. You're still sitting on them. They're like shuffling their weight. They're agitated and they don't want to be there. They kind of want you to get off. Actually, they're saying so. They want you to get off. And then they don't want to. They feel uneasy, and you can't feel exactly why, but there is something in the air that feels like charged, like as if like lightning has recently struck and could strike again. That tension in the air, the tingly, the gray feeling on your tongue of static is clinging in the air around this place, tickling at your nose. You can feel that. To my 2 14s. Well, you do notice, you are the 2 bards, correct? You would notice this. There's one of the llamas kind of hit a stone. There's some stones randomly around the front now, this temple where you've arrived. They kind of hit it and made a little hollow like ding sound. That kind of stuck out to you because that's not a normal sound that a rock makes, typically, There's several of those stones. They're kind of long-ish in shape. They're not thin like piano keys. They're thick and long. And if they weren't so old, they might have something carved in them, but you can't see what it is anymore. But you notice that there's several of them around the temple, and that there is one that juts out more than the others, closer to where there's more text, or would have been more text. Now there's only parts of text on the wall. I set you free.
Can I try to look at the bits of text that are there?
On the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you guys get off of the llamas?
I mean, if the llama asked, then absolutely.
They did. They did. So the llamas like, yes, cool, you're here, you're great, you're here, you're great. We would like to leave. I really need to tend to that patch of grass. It's really been calling me. So if you guys are
This is a rainforest. There's grass everywhere.
One of the llamas, it's already gone. He's gone.
Why'd you go?
One of them has already left. He didn't even say goodbye. He's gone. The other one that's talking about grass, he's like walking backwards. He's like, "You got it from here. You're cool.
But
You're
what if
fine.
we need
You're
you?
cool.
What if we like?
fine.
What if there's like a situation like we need
A situation. Who needs a llama in a situation? You need a llama in a situation. Other llamas like, I don't need a
You're the
llama in a
only
situation.
reason we
I
were
don't-
able to find here.
you?
It was
Yeah.
you.
and we'll come back for you in
Okay.
Sure, we'll come back.
I look over at Tala and I go, was that not strange? Am I the only one thinking that?
Oh no, it was definitely strange. But the unfortunate thing you notice is that Tala is actually like looking around and touching everything. Because she knows no fear. Much to her detriment. So she's just like she's trying to find like stuff to press. Just like, what does this smell like? Let's see.
Mm.
Do you
Like,
press any of the stones on the floor?
yeah. Let's say that Tala presses the one directly in front of her.
Okay, so I'm not being pedantic. I'm genuinely asking. I want to put a movement in your mouth. Are you pushing on it or are you just touching it?
I think that like she's been kind of like trying to feel the walls out a little bit, but like maybe like I think do they have hooves? I don't know, whatever she has as a foot. She kind of like reaches out and like taps it
Okay.
with her foot. Not to say that Tala has seen any of the Indiana Jones movies because they would upset her greatly, but she knows that if you put your foot all the way down on something, usually like something will come up and punish you for it. So
Maybe. Well, I think so yes, absolutely, Pablo, you can investigate the writing on the wall. I'm going to put those two things together. So what role would you like to use for that? What works for you? What makes sense?
Let's see.
Oh, Katrina, you're fine. You don't have to roll.
Investigation. You said investigate.
You-
So
well, okay, so you want to I didn't know. I know you have a thing. You might have a thing for some languages. So I wasn't sure if you had something special, but you can also use investigate.
yeah, I mean you're right. Wait, let me check my spells real quick. I almost forgot that I had tons of spells.
GMing on top form today.
Yeah.
Remembering my character sheets.
Yep. No. I wish I would have done that before though.
That's
Okay.
okay.
Cool. It's all good. I'll just investigate. I'm just
Okay.
gonna look
No,
and try
please
to
roll me
figure
investigate.
that out. How's an 18 plus? Where's my 3?
Oh, you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the languages that you can read?
Uh, apparently Elvish and Undercommon, and then Common.
Cool. So these inscriptions are in Undercommon. But they've been scratched out a lot.
Yeah.
So these are two things that are happening at the same time. As you manage to find, so you see the beginning of the sentence structure is a little bit archaic, but this is nothing you haven't seen before. You know to move the verb and the subject and the object around to make sense in your brain. So what you can manage to read is share art.
Okay.
And maybe it's a small word. It's a connecting word. It's probably and. Joy, but a verb. So you're like joy verb, rejoice, share art, and rejoice. That's as good as that's getting right now.
Okay.
You can ponder over that. At the same time, Tala kind of like taps a stone. And because he didn't tap it very hard, it glows this like really warm orange. And it makes like a solid middle E note. Just kind of rings out into the air. And then it, if you stop touching it, it stops glowing and it just kind of fades away.
Oh, was that music?
Music is an understatement of that word, or whatever we heard.
But like it's the beginning of a song.
Yeah, can Tala then also tap on other stones on the floor and see if
Can I assist?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can they just do the piano scene from
And then the first one I do, I'm gonna use my javelin though, like ding, ding, ding.
Okay, so would you say you're having fun?
Yes, absolutely.
You're jumping around on the stones? Cool.
Yes.
We're bards. We're absolutely bards.
Great.
Yes.
So you guys are jumping around having fun. The stones light up in these rich, vibrant colors. There's this deep purple that's a bee. I'm really reaching the end of my rope here with my like limited musical theater background. I was really bad at reading sheet music. There's a nice solid, that pretty E note on the guitar that comes out. Some of the notes, they sound like flute. Some of the notes, they sound like a guitar somehow. Some of them sound like somebody's voice. Mysterious. Like this is very magical. This is very echoey, which is strange because you're in a forest, but it's echoing. It's beautiful. And it's coming together as this melody that you guys are creating. And there's these rich purples, deep pinks, a fuchsia stone that's like a nice high C. That was impressive. You probably don't want to tap that one too much, but it's cool. And it's the whole area around you is lighting up the more that you play. And so is the temple. It's just starting to glow.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Jax, what are you doing?
He is just bachating his way through this as until they tell him to stop because he's just like, all right, do we?
Are
How
you
long do
touching
we
any
keep doing
stones?
this? I'm touching anything within my vicinity, within my reach. I'm just gonna touch it.
Excellent. So with all three of you joyfully creating music, suddenly all of the colors light up at once. Luckily, not all the sounds go off at once, but all the stones light up at once. And their light goes under the moss, under the ground, and it all hits the temple at once. And
Mm.
suddenly, where there were carvings of windows or, openings, they have lit up as well in this beautiful rainbow of colors. And it's lighting up lines you hadn't even seen, lines that were lost to time, or maybe they weren't actually visible at all. And they're creating these intricate stone carvings around an arch that is slowly stone giving way to air. And now there is a beautiful rainbow archway. And you can also see some more of the carvings because the light doesn't know that the carvings have been destroyed. So the light is still filling where there would have once been more carvings. And the full sentence is share your art and rejoice to enter. Did you guys enter?
Oh, absolutely. But only with a big flourish. I might even pull out my own instrument and start playing
Yeah.
along.
Jax
once-
just comes in very just tired, just very okay. Okay.
Tyler
That's a
does like
lot.
a little twirl on that last note and follows behind the two of them.
Okay. Very, very cool. So you guys walk in.
That's sick.
It's kind of like walking through, like when like a bubble, the incandescent swirly when you look at the surface of a soap bubble. That's what it looks like that you pass through in this portal. And that's when you look back at it, you can't really see the rainforest. You just see kind of like when light hits a bubble and all you can see is the swirly incandescent bits. That's what it looks like. You can't hear the rain. You can't smell the rain. You can basically not feel anything outside anymore at all. And it's very dark. The light from outside that you guys created, it did not really come through in here. And it's currently just dark.
Whoa. Hold on, let me check there.
Anybody got a light?
I absolutely do. And he begins flapping his wings, and as he does, they begin to glow with a red and blue sort of glow as he casts his fairy light.
We love bisexual lighting. Thank you.
Yeah, yep. There you go. And it's just like sort of glowing around him as he moves through the place.
Okay. Would anybody like to take a look around this room now? Or what are you guys doing?
Sure, I'll investigate the room.
Yeah.
You guys get to roll.
Oh yes. Yeah, Tala is also investigating exactly in the fashion as last time. She's in fact like trying to like tap the
Lord.
floor again to see if she can make another song. And that's perception, right? So that's 20 on Tala.
I got a
Nice.
14 investigation for me.
Randy, are you investigating?
I'm not
Oh, wait.
investigating. I'm just excited to assist. Like,
Sorry, it's investigation, so it's 13. Sorry.
That's okay. So we have 13 and 14. That's okay. Let's say you notice, there's a faint glow. It's not perfect vision, but it's enough. There are definitely no more musical stones on the floor. Sadly, the floor is pretty dirty. Like there's just like mud, but like dried mud, kind of covering what underneath it. You can see under the beautiful light that Paolo is giving you were probably really shimmery tiles of like lots of different colors, just patterns, and it's just very pretty, or would be if it were clean. But it's obviously been kind of like stomped on with like pragmatic boots. That's not broken, it's really just filthy. So it's hard to make out a real design from it, but you can tell that like this was originally a very beautiful, joy-filled place. This was probably not even that hard to enter originally. Um, However, there's the tiling continues to the walls. The walls are tiled, the ceiling is tiled, and the walls are not muddy. So you do see off of the shimmering from the light that in the walls, it's like there's built-in shelves. Some of them are empty, some of them are full of broken glass. They've obviously been ransacked, but some have things in them. Jax, you see, there is a little, I'd say, well, little. He's about a foot tall and a foot wide. Small stone carving of an armadillo. It's actually really, really detailed. It's much more detailed than your average, carving, just because the artistic styles are different. But this one is a lot more dedicated to realism. And it's on its hind legs and just kind of like frozen. Like its mouth is open, like it was in the middle of doing something, and it's just stuck. Little statue that's in one of the shelves. Thala, you notice there's a lot of broken glass. You might want to be careful where you step. There's definitely broken glass on the floor. There's some jars that are magically sealed. And then there's some jars that were magically sealed and seem empty now. And then there's some jars that seem sealed with something none of you really recognize. It doesn't feel dark. It just feels kind of wrong. Like it just feels like incorrect. Like when you look at the way a word is spelled and it's wrong, but it's like so close that you're just like, is it wrong? Or am I wrong? Do I not know how to spell the word laugh? Is there an F actually in it or not? I don't know. This may be a spelling mistake that I made on a test 15 years ago that nobody's ever let me forget. Anyway, that's the feeling you have. It's not a fun feeling, but it's not evil. It's just off. But you see a bunch of those jars. There are a lot of different colors. Those are the vibes you get. They're on the shelves.
Interesting. I think Paula will try and take a closer look at what's in the jars, or maybe even because she is so bold, she might even pick one of them up, shake it around a little.
Oh Lord, okay.
Just a little,
That's okay. You take one of the jars. It's turquoise in color. It's also made of turquoise stones. It's more of like a carved jar.
Ooh.
Initially, because of the polish on it, you might have thought it was glass, but it's actually lacquered stone. And the top that it has on it is see-through. It is glass, but it's been made to fit inside of, so the jar, it looks like it just feels solid, but you see it's more like a plug situation, this glass stopper, which means if you looked into it, you'd see a miniature sized Kikam serpent who's looking at you with mild alarm and pressing its feet to the outsides of the glass as it is shaken.
Paula stops shaking it immediately and goes, "Ha! There are living creatures in here."
It also goes hot. You can't hear it, but you can see that its mouth.
I want to slowly peek around Tala's sort of shoulder and look inside and go, "Hey, little guy. I see we disturbed you. We didn't mean to do that."
It's banging on the glass with one of its claws. What do you call it? Hands? That's not a hand. It's limbs that have claws.
Yeah. Oh.
Its clawed hands are banging on it.
It looks like it wants to get out.
Yeah, do you think it's stuck in there, or maybe it was put in there?
How well do you guys know your local Koboan creatures. Maybe let's start there.
I would say Tala knows them really well because of her
Oh.
animal persuasion abilities.
That
Mm.
makes a lot of sense. Would the
Mhm.
other two be as aware?
Not as aware as Tala, no.
I'm more for plant life for me. 'cause
Same.
I'm nature sense. It's more plant life I'm more familiar with.
Yeah, they're with the flora, I'm with the fauna.
That makes a lot of sense. And you guys are an excellently balanced group. Also, for the viewers, though, I'll give you guys a little bit of a insight into the Kikam serpent, because the Kikam serpent is a creature from the Koboa setting. Kikam serpents descend from Kika, the mind devourer. Kikam serpents have powerful mind controlling abilities. The nicer ones use their psychic abilities to negotiate with humanoids and animals, employing them to maintain the lair. The not nice ones enslave humanoids and other creatures with their mind control. They also have necromantic abilities for brief bits, and will sometimes use those just as employees, like lab techs. Basically, they tend to be curious, and that's about all they have in common, regardless of their moral alignment.
So absolutely, Paulo is sitting there talking to this creature like, "Oh, the little guy wants to get out. I think we should help him."
Free him!
Oh.
And Tala kind of just like raises a hand and goes like, let's hold on about that. I just shook him. And so he may not be, or they, I shouldn't assume, they may not be so pleased with us and specifically me at the moment. But Tala does have an ability as an elf to like persuade and befriend animals. So that might be something.
It might be something to use when you're not separated by magically sealed glass.
Yeah. I like in her heart she really wants to just like let all the animals free like that kid in ET did, but she's
Valid.
also just like, man, I really don't want to be enslaved by this little lizard. That would be really unfortunate for me.
Would you like to take a closer look at the lizard
Yeah.
through the glass?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Can I detect thoughts on it, or is the magic
The glass
protecting it?
would get in the way, but you can actually I mean you could it has nowhere to go. The glass is not big, and it's taking up all the space in the glass. It's pressed against it. So if you wanted to roll perception, I think would maybe be best for you. Your animal abilities might actually be better for the roll here. For your knowledge, animal knowledge might be better here. So if you guys want to make that roll, see what you see. If you try to really look.
Can I make an insight check and say just
Absolutely.
to see what its vibes are?
I got
Absolutely.
15 on looking straight at the little creature. I want to help. Apollo is all about this little creature.
Oh, I know. I'm
I
well
got a-
aware.
I got a 10 on that insight.
Okay.
That's a 14 plus her like ability, I guess.
Okay. So I guess let's start with Jax. The vibe check. The vibes are frantic and rancid, and that's about all I can give you. The vibes are like student in the middle of midterms, and your neighbor has finished their midterms, and they're partying, but you have another midterm at 7 a.m, and you're non-confrontational. So this is going to be a long night.
I
That's
feel
boy.
seen. that has happened.
Palo,
Yep.
looking straight into the glass.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look happy.
Yeah.
It's not happy to be in there. It very clearly wants to get out. And you're freaking it out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're all freaking it out because it's confused. You do get that. It's confused. Tala, you would know the most.
Mm-hmm.
It is frightened and confused, and it does
Okay.
not know who you are or what you are, and it does not seem to know where it is or why it is where it is. So you're getting absolute deep panic, fear, confusion off of this creature who you know also to be like a very, very smart animal
Mhm.
or mythical being, put it that way.
Is there any way we can soothe it before letting it out? Like, can I play it a little song or set the jar down at least? I guess
I mean, if
before
you
we
set
put
the
it
jar
down.
down, I think that won't hurt, but if it can't see you, it might think that you're leaving.
Right. So
Yeah.
maybe I set the jar down on its side.
Mhm,
No,
sure.
yeah, okay, all right. And I'll pull out let's see, what's a very soothing instrument? What do I have? I've got I'll pull out my lyre and kind of just start like playing a really gentle song um about the about a beautiful forest with lots of like nice little like watering holes and like just a nice humid place that lizards like to be,
Mm-hmm.
like the rainforest or the Everglades.
Can I find just a nice uh what I want to find this is gonna be weird is like a leaf that's like a little canopy and like a tiny little thing that I can cast I can't ever say this spell prestidigitation on to
That's
make
okay. I
like
can't spell that.
to make like a little campfire for our little serpent friend, like a little like calm rest area for him so that it's just like warm and inviting.
I
Like
feel like you would know enough about animals to know that this is a 15-foot serpent.
Cool.
This
Mhm.
is just magically small. But if you want to,
Okay.
it's in the jar. That's why.
Yeah.
But if you want to,
Nah, never
it wouldn't
mind.
hurt.
I mean, a nice, warm, welcoming
cute.
fire is probably cute. We don't
Yes.
need the little canopy piece though.
But
it
I'm
comes out
sure
it like
I mean,
latches.
there's debris, which means that there's probably sticks. And they're since you're protected from the rain, they're probably dry because it's
Yeah.
dried mud, it's caked, it's been old. So there's probably
Mhm.
like dry sticks. And you know, it's not that hard to make a little flame for you, I'm
Awesome.
sure. So you
Yep.
could probably make a contained
Yeah, it's
small
just like a
fire.
small little fire. And what he does is sort of as Tala is playing the lyre, he begins to take out a pan flute and begins to sort of just lightly do it, casting prestidigitation on the fire thing. This is why I don't ever say this spell.
That's okay. That's a really difficult word to say. I feel like they should replace that with something smaller.
Mhm.
Jax, is there anything that you would like to do to soothe these rancid vibes?
I think he's just gonna kind of get close and kind of show his skin. Be like, hey, look, you and me on the same wavelength kind of deal. Just kind of like,
That
it's
might
okay.
that might work. Not in the way that you think, but I'm gonna give it to you. It recognizes something in you. You don't know what it recognizes. You couldn't possibly guess, but it does. It locks on you, and it like okay. It kind of like nods, and then it looks at the other two, and it's no longer like this in the jar. It has like settled. It's realized you put it down. It's not shaking anymore. It's good. It's not like sitting in this tiny little pit. So kind of like, you know, slowly in the jar, like settles on the floor and it is skeptical, but it is about as calm as it's been. And it's not like in a defensive stance. It's just kind of like standing there.
Okay. I'll say Tala finishes her song and then kind of looks to the other two and says, "I think we need to let this thing out to and see how it got in there."
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have a spell that might be able to help with getting rid of the magic, but once it's down, we won't be able to, control it
Can't we
afterwards.
just open it? Can't
It's
we just?
Isn't it magic? And then he
I mean,
taps on it.
Don't tap the glass.
No. I just like
That's
tap.
fine. No.
what are you doing?
Sorry.
I mean, it's got a lid on it. So why don't we just go outside, open this bad boy out, and just let it loose?
Okay.
I mean, the room is big enough. You would be okay. It's not like a small room. It's a large
All right.
beginning of a temple. So
It's up
you
to
don't
you.
have to
It's
go
up to
outside if you don't
you.
want to.
Yeah. Oh, and Paula says, okay, well, I'm gonna. And she kind of. Let me look. She's got a water skin, and I think she wants to put some water down for it.
Nice.
Just to because being stuck in a jar must be very dehydrating, and it's a lizard, and they like being a little hydrated. So,
That is
uh,
true.
so she's gonna open her water skin and like pour some into like the top, and
Mhm.
set it down by the little like stick bed that's there. And
Mhm.
cool. And then she's gonna go over to the jar and say like, all right, we're gonna let you out, and you can settle into this, and then we'd like to know how you ended up in there. And then
Please.
good.
Cool. It like tilts its head at you because it can't hear you properly. It kind of hears the vibrations and it doesn't. It's still muffled. The song was nice. It was helpful, but they don't know exactly what it was about because it was muffled. But it was still nice and calming and like friendly because people that want to hurt you don't typically play you music first.
Oh yeah, true, true.
Unless
Tala's
you're
South
dating a DJ,
American.
in which case that's exactly what they're going to do. But
Yeah, Tala's
apart
inspired
from
by
that,
South America, so she's obviously talking with her hands all the way through this.
oh, that's helpful. That's very helpful, actually. Okay. I need everybody to pick a number on a d6.
3.
4.
1.
Okay. Who said 4?
Me.
Type. Saving that for a
boy.
minute. Do you guys open the jar?
Yeah.
Yes. Who's opening the jar?
I'll do it.
Okay. The brave one. Yes. While the jar was magically contained on the inside, it was not magically contained from the outside. So
Got
you
it.
were able to pull the stopper out. It does a little plop of when you pull a glass stopper out of a bottle that was under tension. And several things happen at once. One, a 15-foot long Kikam serpent materializes quite suddenly in the middle of this room. It doesn't hit you guys, but it is like in your face, and the force of the wind and stuff isn't probably enough to like probably knock you back a little bit. And it is disorientated and a little panicked still because that's a big change. And it's knocking into the shelves and the walls and the ceiling and the floor, and it's trying not to hit you. But what else is happening, which is the more important thing, is that this powerful psychic being is very scared and disorientated, and it really can't help it. It's not lashing out. It is very clearly struggling to contain its psychic powers from lashing out. However, Paulo, some of the floor is no longer made of tile to you. It's made of chicken.
Oh no!
And the floor, the floor is kind of some of it. It's like you see, it's like when one eye, everything is normal. With the other eye, everything is chicken. And not like the animal chicken. I mean like shredded chicken. Like you're standing in shredded chicken. So when you have both open, it's kind of this weird 50-50 split of where your eyes no longer overlap. Where it's like normal shredded chicken. If you looked at the ceiling, that's a tortilla.
Yep.
And if you look to the side, that's a tortilla. Look to the other side, that's a tortilla.
I'm
You
like,
might be in a flauta.
yeah.
Paulo, what the? Are you okay?
He is on the ground, like rubbing around, trying to grab some of the chicken and trying
Oh,
to
no.
eat it.
You're
'Cause he
totally
can't-
ignoring the good eye then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's the food.
That's fine.
He wants the food. And he's like, don't you see it? How could we have missed it?
I was wondering how fast it was. Everybody succumbs to the jungle. It's your time.
And then he's like, but there's chicken everywhere.
Yep. I've seen this before.
Oh God.
You just see him like sort of almost like excited Velma looking for her glasses on the ground, like moving around, just like I can't grab it though.
There's a small tap. It's like literally this tiny, this small tap on your ankle, Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Oh.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah.
The stone armadillo from earlier is talking to you, and he's on the floor, and he's very polite.
Excuse me.
Oh God.
Hey, what's up?
Don't eat that. That's mud.
Oh, and he puts it back down and scrapes his hand. And that's when he realizes his other good eye is able to see that it's mud. And he's like, oh. And then he looks at his other hand and he's like, what in the world?
Sorry. So sorry. That's so sorry. 1 second. I'll be right with you.
Mhm.
It's very hard for him to move. He's made of stone. His joints are very stiff. He's made of stone. He's very small. He's under a lot of pressure. He's going as fast as he can. And he's waving at the serpent. And the serpent has been like, looking around, like trying to like take everything in. Clocks the armadillo, clocks the mental connection, and the visions go away for you. You're okay now, Bottle. You're fine. You see the mud with both eyes.
And I am like, I see we chose incorrectly.
What are you talking about, man?
The
Pretty
snake,
sure.
the serpent did this to me. And our little armadillo friend
The
helped
serpent-
me.
The serpent looks at you, and in your head, you might feel the tap of a telepathic force, like it's like asking for permission to communicate.
And I
with you.
say, yes, you may, even though I'm slightly angry.
Do you want to die?
Oh, absolutely
Oh,
not.
God.
If that was
Watch
part
how
of this-
you speak to your elders.
I'm so sorry. You're
Way
right.
to go, Pablo. Paulo. Way to go.
Did the serpent get you too?
A little bit. It got me a little bit, but I'm resistant. I'm strong.
And then I look at the serpent and I go,
I have nothing to do with that.
Oh.
It lied in case it said whatever it said. It's the opposite. They lied.
I was like, whoa. Given how like brave and bold she is, she's had a lot of elders yell at her in her time, and she knows
Yes,
when to go
I
like,
bet.
hey, tranquilo, let's relax for a second. Whoa. Don't keep blaming it for things.
You're right. That was rude.
The dragon like looks away from you again and like looks back at the armadillo, and like it kind of lowers its snout to be on eye level with this 1 foot tall armadillo on the floor. So this 15-foot serpent is like bent at a 90-degree angle to like kind of confer mentally, quietly, real quick before looking at you. And I'm getting a better look at Jax. You get the knock on your mental door if you're willing to hear a message.
Yes, sirree.
I thought you were one of my employees, but you're not. You're committed to one of the other serpents. Yes.
That is correct. I am a free agent. I freelance on my spare time.
Interesting. Good. Good choice. Thank you. And this is now a knock you all get. If you guys are all cool with it. Thank you for freeing me from the jar. I see my lab has been destroyed. You are not the same creatures as the destroyers. You smell better.
And better looking.
Interesting perspective, yes. I cannot judge that personally.
Who trapped you in here?
They smelled very bad.
I puff up my chest in an overly exaggerated way and like pretend like I have like giant neo conquistador boots and I walk around like I own everything. That's mine. That's mine. Did they act like that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they smelled very bad.
Yeah.
They have a very keen sense of smell. This has been the most offensive thing. He has been sitting on this for God knows how long that he's been trapped in there. And that was the last thing he got to smell. He is very hung up on it. Apart from that, though, he's like, okay. Which one of you smells best? What do you think?
Who's got the flautas?
Yeah, which one of you? Which one of you? Do you have flautas?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah, it's each of these nostrils is like the size of my palm. By the way, so it's like, you ever seen an aardvark eat? It's kind of what it looks like. Like it's very soft, right?
Yeah.
And it just kind of like suctions onto your bag for a second. It's not long like an aardvark, so the whole face of this thing is in your personal
Mhm.
space.
Mm-hmm.
Sniffing.
Whoa. Let's be friends. Maybe I can share with you a little bit. And then he pulls out one of the flautas and he goes, I'm sure you're hungry.
If you gift me one of those, I will also give you a gift.
Oh, I wasn't expecting gifts, but yes, absolutely. Yeah, you could have had it for free, but yeah.
It absolutely immediately inhales the flauta.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's over
One
here.
piece.
Just like maybe some kind of drool on my hand
bit,
left,
yeah.
and I'm like, I see we're friends now. Um,
Don't shake that away. That has important alchemical properties. You're very lucky to have that. That was not my gift, but you may keep that anyway.
mm,
You're welcome.
there's a lot of spit involved in this.
It's good for your skin.
Ah,
Now for your gift. Armando. Yes, the armadillo's name is Armando. It's Armando Armadillo. He does not like to talk about it. And he toddles off to one of the shelves. And he can climb, which is interesting. But he can also speak, which is very interesting for a stone too. So I don't really think it's really far out of the concept of what he can do. But he toddles up to one of the shelves. And he points at the jar to confirm. Mm-hmm. And he just kicks it off the wall. And it breaks. And out of it appears someone new. Something new. Well, out of it appears some black ooze. For a second, it's. Who here has seen the live action 2004 Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed?
I probably have.
We will privately fix that. Anyway, if you've seen a monster, if you can, well, you can picture it. The tar monster type consistency from the old Scooby Doo movie. So basically, it looks like molten, sticky sap, but it's not see through, and it's kind of slowly growing until it's this long, stretchy, spindly thing. And then it kind of starts to take shape in the way that there's two hollowed out things for an eye and a like really straight mouth. There's no actual texture to it. It's just goop and ooze, and it smells like salt water. Definitely doesn't smell like the rainforest. It smells like salt water. A bubble comes out of its mouth real quick. And the like little sockets like blink at you. And they blink at the serpent. And they blink at the armadillo.
Wow. Wow.
What a wonderful gift! Yay!
And it goes, it's like crawling towards you, leaving this black ichor in its path.
hello.
This is not my bridge.
You don't
Hmm.
smell like the sea. But there is a door here. So give me my gift. That's the end of the sentence.
Hmm.
It's just staring at the three of you now, and it kind of has like a little hand held out,
Ugh.
but it's
Uh,
also made of goop.
Hmm.
What do we got? What can we give this thing? Like, what are we? What are we? What are we thinking that we could give that's not?
Does anybody? Do you think you would recognize from folklore? What does anybody want to do an Arcana check? Actually,
Sure. Oh, sorry. Okay. Um, Arcana is a dirty 20.
It's an 8. I don't know what you are.
What is this?
What are you?
I got a dirty 20.
yes, Tala.
Uh, that's a 3, and then what was my modifier? What was the modifier? Was there any modifier or just
No, I think it's a straight is fine.
just a 3?
Yep. Okay. So only one of you knows what this is. It's another Koboa special. This is a
Yay.
binya. A
Ooh.
binya is an oozy creature, originally from lakes and rivers, or in this case, he ended up by the ocean. They go wherever water goes. They frequently wind up in city sewers or damp areas of dungeons. They're patient carnivores. Usually they take the shape of a small island or something near them to consume whatever climbs on top of them. They do, however, prefer to just eat the bones and they leave the meat of things behind, which can become actually quite the human delicacy, meat that's gone through a binya's body. They can be spiritual guardians of specific areas, which is what this one seems to be. So if you wish to cross through an area, you have to make an offering to the binya. And if the binya accepts the offering, it allows you to pass. Any damage, though, and you would know this because Koboans all think that if anybody attacks a guardian, that is a, like really big act of aggression against the spiritual realm, and you guys would be heavily offended by that, by seeing somebody do that to them. And this binya is lost.
Got it.
So
The reason Paulo knows about this is simply because of the fact that it makes a delicacy of food. Like that is like where the knowledge began, and he sort of studied it a bit, but like that is the beginning of his interest. And he goes, "Oh, I've never seen one of you in person before. Do we have any bones on us?" They eat bones. But not like it's not that sounded a lot more grotesque than it was meant to. Like when a creature lands on it, they like that's how they eat, right? It's the circle of life. I don't have any on me though. I only have these flautas. Well, and he opens his bag and there's maybe like crumbs left. I don't even have that.
Well, I mean, we got the
I
candy.
don't need bones.
Oh,
I
Like
need
candy?
gift.
gifts.
The serpent is still with you, by the way. Who's been watching all of this. He kind of thought this would be clearer, but his gift to you. But he's now wondering if maybe he should have been more clear.
Do you know something that we don't, my guy? So, I mean, I don't want to be rude or anything, but can you spell it out of what this is? Like in
The
terms of-
serpent is going to, because Tala was the holder of our wonderful orb. And the serpent, also, of course, you're the best at animal handling. So you're the one that this serpent has the most connection to. The next step in that level would be Jax, because you are basically an employee waiting to happen. Which is about the most personal relationship they get.
I was just
Resume.
relieved that it's not her earrings because she really likes those.
So the serpent is wheezes out and kind of sinks to the ground, and the armadillo kind of goes to it and sits next to it, and it pushes a claw towards the Binya. And the Binya holds its hand out to the claw. And they're just kind of holding claw and ooze for hands,
Uh,
wheezing.
so Stella will turn to the others and say, "Wait, the gift that the serpent gave you, we should pass it on."
Like this, and he doesn't shake his hand, but he wants to. He said that wasn't the gift. I think it might be the orb.
Oh. Oh. And then Tala pulls it out after an extremely long realization. And she kneels down and hands it to them, or holds it out to them.
When you're holding it out, they don't take it, but you're
Mm.
holding it out, which means that the orb is now activated. And the serpent looks at it and it mentally investigates, because it can feel out the magic and it realizes what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks at you a little sternly about like, I am trusting you. Do not make me regret it when I come back out
Mm-hmm.
of this. And the serpent like low-key swallows the armadillo, but it's just for transportation purposes. It's made of stone. It's fine. It's a little weird to watch because it's still a 1 foot tall, 1 foot wide stone armadillo who willingly walks into the mouth like it's walking into an elevator, and it gets swallowed. And then the serpent goes into the orb and the orb glows. And then if you look in, there's still a lot of room in the orb, but the serpent is kind of like curled up and sleeping. And the Binya looks at the service that you provided and it wheezes. Okay. And it sinks into the floor. And then the floor falls away. All of it. And that's where we go on our break. So,
Whoa.
you want to see what happens? Please come back in 15 minutes after we've had our wonderful break. Please take a bio break yourself. Get chips, get snacks, get breakfast, get whatever your time zone appropriate food is, or whatever food's not time zone appropriate. I'm not your parents. I'm not telling you what to do. But make sure you hydrate. I am telling you to do that, actually. So make sure to come back in 15 minutes to see what happens in the finale of Koboa La Aventura.
Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Yudgot, the first giant. The Yudgot made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Yukot relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land, and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers, like your parents, find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa. Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Yudgot, the first giant. The Yudgot made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Yukon relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers, like your parents, find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa. Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Yudgot, the first giant. The Yudgot made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Yukon relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers, like your parents, find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa. Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta, 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 conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Utgod, the first giant. The Utgod made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Utgod relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers, like your parents, find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa. Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta, 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 conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Utgod, the first giant. The Utgod made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Utgod relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers, like your parents, Find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa. Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta, 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 conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Utgod, the first giant. The Utgod made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Utgod relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers like your parents find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa. Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta, 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 conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Utgod, the first giant. The Utgod made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Utgod relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers, like your parents, find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa. Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes.
Live.
Hi, and welcome back to Koboa La Aventura Part 2, the finale here on Utopia. I'm your host, Brandy Rose, and I'm here with my amazing, amazing players, and we are back after break to bring you. The floor has disappeared. The floor is she's just gone underneath you. Luckily you put the serpent and the swallowed armadillo. Thank you, Armando. May your sacrifice be noted. Into your healing orb. He's fine. He's fine. He's made us down. He's fine. A little stomach acid never hurt anybody. Take it from Paulo. He took a face full of it last episode. So, it's a little gross, but it's fine. And the oozing Benya disappeared back into the stone before everything fell away. What you'll notice is you're not falling fast. You are, but you're not in danger. You're just falling. There will be an end, but it doesn't feel like you're free falling. It feels like there's a force underneath you that's just going downwards really quickly. But you are slightly cushioned. And it takes an indeterminate amount of time. And you fall until you are in a very clean room. Well, in comparison to the muddy room that you were just in.
Right.
It's still a room that has clearly been broken and shattered in many ways. Like, so he took a sledgehammer to some of the pretty tiles on the, wall. Probably some area that had instructions or some sort of encryption. But the cool thing is tile is replaceable. Nothing cannot be fixed. Everything can be repaired. But you land about a foot off of the actual floor, stop, and then thud to the ground. Or as you land. That's up to you. I don't know what your reflexes are like. How do you land? Let's start with you, Tala.
Checking Tala's general stats. I think she lands on her feet, if a little shaky. Her knees are not going to be happy about this later on in the day, because she definitely landed like boom, right on her heels. So she's just like, but she doesn't really pay it too much mind right now.
That hurts just to think about.
Yeah, Tala at like 9 p.m. is going to be like, oh boy, what just happened? But right now she's good. She's like, all right.
Okay.
And she just starts kind of glancing around at the damage.
Okay. Jax, how do you land?
I think Jax is just going to, as falling, try to like maneuver themselves to an area where it's like, this looks comfortable, or this maybe I can land here. It won't hurt as bad, and try to just tumble their way, hopefully, to
Artistic, that's
Succession.
cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
Blue
You
flame.
see, you tumble, you roll out. You might land like like in a seated position, but you're okay. There's nothing sharp on the floor. There's no broken glass here like in the other one. Paolo, how do you land?
So
Oh boy.
Paulo has little wings that aren't going to stop him from falling and hitting the ground, but they will slow him a little bit and allow him that extra little second to cast plant growth below him. So from the ground as he's landing is going to be a little soft plant like flower petal of a flower, and he's going to land in that and just sort of oh, can we do it again?
It just this is a disdain look from Jackson. Like, you couldn't do that before.
No,
Wings!
I didn't know we were falling until we were already falling, and I can't fly forever. You know that.
I'm hurt. I'm hurt. That's all I gotta. Gets up, but she's just struttle away.
I look over at Tala and I go, he's not really hurt. He says that all the time. He's fine.
Paula's like holding back laughter. It's like, okay. Well, let's take a moment and look around because we are clearly not in the same place anymore.
So, would you guys say you are investigating?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Then everybody make a check, and before and as you guys make the investigation, I'm going to tell you guys what you can definitely see. You are in a huge room, like this. From what you fell, you should be a good 100 feet in the ground, but you're still in the temple. You're just in a really big space, like it's like a dance hall sized space, auditorium of sorts. There's not a lot of decor left. That was definitely stolen or ransacked because there's no broken pieces anywhere, so that's not there. But there are more shelves along the walls. They're kind of covered with cobwebs, or they're slightly in the shadows. You have to look a little closer, but there's the tile of the floor was really pretty. It's a little scuffed, but it's still pretty. It's pretty. It is, however, like it starts to get interrupted further into like where it's a little darker. It's a little light where you guys are, just because there's you can see some magical lights coming from the walls that look a lot like the stones that were outside the temple. So, but they're already glowing. They're not making noise. They're just perpetually glowing, giving off a little purple, a little orange, a little pink light here and there, a little green. Some nice, bold, vivid colors, but it's not super high visibility. So, what did you guys roll?
I got a nat 20.
Good, 'cause I got a 10.
Yeah. I'm also glad I got a good old 11. So,
Okay. So, 10 and 11, you see what I said, and then is any of what would you guys say you were looking at specifically? Were you looking around generally? Were you looking at the floor? Were you looking at the ceiling? Were you looking at the walls? Which of those two? Which of those are you looking at?
I'm not looking up because that's a long way up. So I'm gonna look at the floor.
I think Jack's looking at the walls, trying to see if there's any
Okay.
imagery, anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Paula was
mhm.
focused on like the walls.
Okay. So the floor, I mean, it's pretty. It's tiles. It kind of has a pattern you could follow if you wanted to follow it. The walls for the lower roll. Well, that sure is words. It's not a language that you speak yet, but it is. What languages do you speak?
I speak. Forgive my pronunciation of this. What is it? Astarian?
Mhm.
Astarian. That's the only one I speak, and then the common and whatnot.
Right. Well, this is definitely celestial, but you can still read it, which is weird. That's weird. And that bit's in Draconic. You can read that also. That's weird. That bit's in Undercommon. For Tala, not only do you recognize that there is writing in about 100 different languages all over the walls, even dipping into bits of shelves, like disappearing into grooves, running around what was probably once like a picture frame. The walls are entirely filled with language. You also hear whispers in the air. The air is full of faint whispers in any dialect you could hear. It's kind of like you can hear all of the next 60,000-mile radius
Whoa.
of everybody speaking at once. It's not overwhelming because it's faint, but you can pick out individual bits of dialogue if you tried to focus on a whisper. And you can understand everything that's on the wall, even though when you look at it, you know you shouldn't be able to. But you do know what it says. It's not like you could word for word translate it, but you read it and you look at it and you know what it says. Like as if you'd grown up with that language.
Wow. That's a lot.
And they're all notes, by the way. Some of them are lyrics. Some of them are recipes. Some of them are coordinations, maybe steps, maybe a dance. Some bits are scratched off. That's, there's no magic that can make you understand something that's been scratched off. But it's like people have come and left their joys. They've come and left their contribution to the temple in the form that they know how to. So if they were cooks, they left recipes, etc. And that's what everything is filled with right now.
It's like the best bathroom stall graffiti ever.
Kind of.
Yeah. So Kala kind of relays this to Jackson Palo and says that these look like markings left here by people that were here about their lives and their happiness and just a marker of their existence.
Oh.
Nice. I will say, I can read all of this, which means I am smarter than I've ever been before, which I think is a fantastic thing.
You just kind of like
If you looked at it, Pablo, you can also understand.
Yeah, he's been looking at the floor and he goes, "What are you talking about?" Oh.
Let me translate for you. I know it may not be, the professor's in.
Sorry to break it to you, bud, but I can read it too. So that you're not special.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Whatever you need to help you sleep at night.
I go, well, all right. So this all is very different. Like this one is like some dance steps, and that one's like a poem. Why? I guess people are leaving these here. Is there any room to write more?
Try to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to try to do. So he goes, all right. I wonder if this will help us. And he thinks to himself and he pulls out his little notebook that he's been keeping and just a small little poem that he's written. He sort of goes, this is one of my favorites. Let's see if we leave it something here, what that does. And he sort of writes it on the wall. And what does it look like as he's trying to find the space to write it?
The moment you approach the wall with your writing utensil, all the writing glows. This mix of purple and orange and pink and green is just flowing through it like a very selective rainbow. and the writing moves around where you were writing. So it makes room for you, but also lights up the entire length of the wall. And what you will see now is that all 4 walls are entirely covered in this script that is glowing and moving to accommodate a new edition. Like it's happy about it. And this light also makes it clear that the tiles are also writing. You just couldn't see it because it wasn't bright enough, but the writing is huge. So a creature much larger than you, which accounts for the high ceiling, has also left its messages. And you can see that you probably read like 1 or 2 words, so you have to really fly up and zoom out to be able to read the whole thing that's on the floor. But there's a recipe for something called apple snow. I don't know, it's a dessert. That's really all you got for it. That's what's on the floor. But there's also some breaking in the tiles that you can see further away. You can't see exactly what's breaking the formation, but the glow stops suddenly in the middle of the floor a little ways away. So in this long dance hall, you guys are around here, and somewhere around here, you see that the script parts around something because it's not glowing in the middle. But everything else is glowing, and it allows you to write your poem. And as you are writing, everything is glowing. And after you finish each letter, it starts to glow.
All right. So that's them and the lights. They seem to be calming down. But we at least know how it works a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Be very useful for my new dissertation.
Okay, Professor.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So, from an academic's point of view, should we go to the area in which it is not a light to see what that dealio is?
I think so. Yep.
yeah, let's do that.
Indubitably.
Whoa, he's really using all of the vocabulary he's learned over the years for sure.
He's running out. He's like,
Yeah.
I need more words.
Yeah.
Gotta be more.
Tom's like, oh no, let him go. Let him do it. I want to see how long he can keep this up.
So, while Tala is the only one really aware and acutely aware of it, the whispers are starting to creep in for the 2 of you as well, especially the closer you get to this dark spot in the floor. It's not overwhelming, but it's overwhelming in the way that, like, if you don't like white noise, you won't like this. But it's not overwhelming, so you can't hear something else. It's just whispers that are getting more and more, and something is off again
I will
about
say
this.
that Tala is getting overwhelmed because she doesn't really enjoy white noise all that much. So maybe, like,
That'll
as
do it.
Jax is using his big words, she like raises a hand to his mouth and just slowly covers it and goes, "Do you hear that? It seems really intense."
That's entirely fair. Do you guys approach the dark spot? Up until, okay. When you get there, you'll notice. First thing that you notice is that the pretty letters that are still glowing, because the temple is overjoyed with the offering that you have brought it. And it's kind of like, so the how many letters was the poem? Like, I'm sorry, how many words was the poem?
Let's say it was like about 10-ish lines.
Okay.
Just like shorter,
Nice.
like
Yeah,
not
yeah.
super long, but like
Right. Right. It seems that the amount of lines in the poem has created a beat that is pulsing through the entire temple periodically. Like the temple is reciting your poem to itself over and over quietly. Like it's just like new piece of art, new joy that was shared. And it's like it's telling it to itself in the way where it's not just reading it to itself, it's reading it to all of its own parts. So it's pulsating through as it spreads your poem through the entire temple you can't even see, down further into the roots, kind of like it's giving your poem back to Koboa, which means that the lights pulse in that rhythm as well, as if it were speaking. But you can't see it. You can't hear it. I mean, you can hear the whispers, but that's not part of it. But you'll notice that it kind of the light rhythm, it's pretty even everywhere, except around this dark spot. But it doesn't just hit the dark spot. There's when you get closer, you see there's cracks in the floor. Like somebody had like shoved something in there and tried to break it apart, and the words had moved around it so that they wouldn't get cut. So the words arc and they stumble a little around these man-made cracks into the floor. And what you'll see, it's kind of like a 3 foot by 3 foot circle of darkness in the floor. And now that you're there, you realize that it's actually 3-dimensional. And it looks like the lid to a pot. It's solid stone. It's new stone. It's not ancient like the rest of this temple is. It's definitely Laurentian. And it's just like the top of a pot, but shoved into the floor.
Hmm.
What you gonna do about it?
Colleagues, what are our foundings on this?
Hmm. I mean, I think Thala being Thala, she is going to take a step forward and try to investigate.
Okay. You can roll me investigate.
Yep.
If your Arcana is better than your investigate, you can use that instead.
Reach the sea. Well, we'll go with investigate. That's 13 plus 3, so 16.
You're gonna reckon, especially because you handled the jar earlier. It's the same magic. It's Laurentian, so it's not right. It's never gonna feel right to you.
Oh,
And
smells
it's
familiar. Smells bad.
so it feels like a seal, and it feels, but there is something Koboan in it that is seeping out of it. So if you investigate, it's kind of like steam coming out of the sides of a pot. The Koboan magic, or it might be Kiboan, or it might be Koboan. It might be from the underworld or from the heavens, actually. You're not entirely, it's definitely indigenous to you guys. But it's more than your average magic you would feel. But it's kind of like seeping out from under, like it's bleeding out into the area around you. Like they tried to seal it, but they weren't meant to, and it's not working right.
So she'll turn around and like relay that to the others and say like, this feels really, really familiar. I think this may have been the Laurentian, the work of the Neo Conquistadors. So we might want to be very careful with the way we handle this.
Understood.
Remembering the nature of your mission also, because you did roll pretty well, you're aware that whatever you're supposed to rescue is probably in there.
Yeah, so she's not going to shake it around this time.
Well, you couldn't. It's 3 by 3 feet of stone.
Yeah, exactly. She's not going to mess with it in any way. But she's like, there's life in there. We've got to get it out.
Yeah.
Life finds a way.
This is easily the pair of streams I've done that has the absolute most cultural references in it.
This time Paulo, so usually he's very content to let Tala sort of like do like open things and like be the first person in or not. In this situation though, he gets kind of really serious and he's like, all right, just tell me how I can help. Because it's kind of big, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
It is.
It's more than just like opening a jar. So we need to find a way to do this carefully so that whatever's inside doesn't get hurt.
The floor pulsates around you, not in the same pattern as before. Now it pulsates around you like beep, like what is the sound of a pulse? I don't know.
Like a vibration.
Yeah, it's like tap
Yeah.
tap. Like it's trying to get your attention.
Right.
And a
And
recipe starts to curl around Tala's foot.
Oh.
Like just on the floor. The writing's just moving around your foot, like hello.
Everybody look at my leg.
Yes,
Ah.
we know you do leg day. We understand. I don't think that's
Not-
what we need to be focusing on right now.
Not the leg. The writing.
Oh,
What does it say? I can't read it upside down.
It's
Uh,
also
Scholar.
moving, so I'm very sorry. It's going to be difficult to read this recipe for
you
Chile
literally see
relleno.
me running
Holly's got,
around.
like her leg, like she's like high kicking, like she's got one leg stuck out. Like, what does it say?
Be careful, be careful.
2 cups. And
A small poem in Celestial. That's a little. It's a couplet. It's just a cute little
Oh.
couplet. Don't make me come up with one though. I don't
it's
want to do that
fine.
right
It's
now.
fine. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Latin poem, it's the most beautiful poem we've
It's so
ever
beautiful.
heard. So
When in
so
doubt-
few words.
When in doubt, pull the tribute by Tenacious D, and it
Yeah.
always works.
Wow,
So-
wow, this is so profound, even though it's
Yeah.
upside down.
Touches my
it's-
soul.
It's coming around Paulo's leg. Like it's not touching you guys. It's just like on the floor. It's circling where you're standing, trying to be
Mm.
like, look at us, please. And then to Jax, there's a song, just lyrics and some scribbled notes, and then in parentheses some explanations for the notes for the people that can't read notes. It's a very considerate note, really.
Hmm.
And that doodle is coming around, and then once you're all looking, they kind of, it's hard for them to do. This is always taking great effort on the temple's part. But they're trying to make space. They're trying to squish together so that there's empty space on the floor.
Hmm.
And then it like pulses, it holds it, and then it snaps back into place. And then it starts to circle again. And then it works up the strength to make space until it can't hold it anymore. And it snaps back and repeats. You can also roll to solve things, by the way, just to remind you that you do not, I do not want you guys to have to sit here racking your brains
I
to understand how a
use
house
my-
talks.
I shall use my academic wits to figure this out. And I'm just gonna roll Arcana, which is a -1 for the audience out there. I'm not exactly.
That would be a good roll for it, though.
Yeah. Let me see.
You could also roll religion if one of you guys had that. Religion would work
I do.
really well, actually.
I'll roll religion.
I got a 9, which is pretty on
Nice.
par.
I'll help as well. I'll roll Arcana where I have a +3 modifier.
Perfect.
19.
Nice.
I've got 14.
Religion.
Okay,
for me,
perfect.
yeah.
So religion also fits because Paolo, you were the one that contributed a poem. So you would recognize they're asking you to write something because they're
Ah.
trying to make space for you, but they can't do it if you don't help. So they're trying to show you to write, to share. And what you would know from religion is that you would recognize this is one of the older temples. You don't have as many of them in Koboa right now that are active because they were the first things that were targeted during the occupation. But this is a temple of joys, especially keeping in mind where you guys just were. That festival is kind of the only modern remnant of this tradition that you guys still have, because a festival is nomadic, which means you guys could keep doing it during the occupation. You didn't need the temple. But originally, those festivals came from temples of joy. And the temple of joy is imbued with magic that feeds into and off in a symbiotic relationship with the world around it, both people, their joie de vivre, their joy of life, but also nature and the harmony and the balance of everything. So while you live your life, you take resources from the earth, from each other, but you give back in the form of being joyful, creating things, and going to the temple. That's where you would go to share something that you had created, something that you've contributed that made you happy or made others happy. And the more people would come and contribute, of course, they would have more festival days where people would come in specifically, but people were always welcome to come and go or share things with the people that were there. So you'll know that this temple is pretty run down because it's been attacked. It's been empty for a really long time. And that the Laurentians, the Neo-Conquistadors, are probably trying to further abuse its power and just couldn't get through. So they forced it, which is why that issue is there now. But you'll know that this used to be a place that was full of strength. And to kind of give it more strength, because it does want to help you, you need to give it some more of your joy. You need to share more of your joy with it so that it can help you. You'll understand that from the history of that. The other two roles, you'll understand that it wants you to write something down. You just won't know exactly why. You'll just know that it wants you to add to what's written on the floor.
So Paulo begins to get really excited and he goes, wait, I think it might be like what I did back there with the poem. We should share something that brings you a lot of joy, that makes you really happy. I think that's what the tip. And I imagine the letters are trying to like be like, yeah.
The letters are spinning frantically. You can't read a damn thing.
I'm like, oh.
They're so relieved.
I was like, Tala, maybe some of your music. Or Jax, and then I think to say
a
that,
joke pops
a
up
joke.
by Jax's foot. It's just a knock joke. Oh, I'll give it to you, actually. It's not a knock joke. Jax, you know what really gets my goat?
What?
A chupacabra.
You're a funny guy.
That's the floor. The floor is like the joke popped up, and then the punchline popped up, and then the text is like rolling around.
So Tala is actually, she's been working on basically a theme song for their crew, to tell people who they are and what they've done and all of their great adventures together. So she's gonna like pull out her lute and go like, all right, I think I've got this. Some of these words aren't finished, so I might have to improv a few, but we're gonna work on this together. And she just kind of like strums and then goes straight into like the riff and like tells the tale of each of them, of Falo and Jax and herself, and how they came together and their last great conquest and or their great quest, because they don't really conquest, that's somebody else's job.
Wrong word. I think you need to redo that one.
That's fine. That's fine. The adventures you guys have gone on.
The adventures, yeah. And so she'll kind of just like recap that and do a little dance around the room and all that stuff, and just share her joy of like having found these friends and being part of this group and sharing these experiences with them.
It's following you, so it's taking the dictation, which is cool. It's the notes are showing up with under the words as you sing them, and they're appearing behind your steps as you dance around. And it's glowing brighter.
I think Paulo would immediately begin writing about just having met like friends that accept him the way he is, and that bring him so much joy in that like they share their laughs and the things that are hard for them, and he just writes their names together, and he says, these people are like my family and I love them. And that's the joy he would give to the temple.
Jax.
I think Jax just keeps. He's like, got any more jokes? And just like.
There's also recipes and food related things, which is maybe more your bag.
Yeah, I think he kind of exchanges. Like, I'll tell you a joke, and if you tell me a joke, I'll give you a fine recipe. And he comes just.
Oh, the jokes are like pouring in now.
Oh, you guys! I'm writing this down for the comedy set I'm gonna do later on today. Oh, this is good stuff.
So, yep, there you go. There's this glowing light, and it's growing and growing and growing. So your recipes are being added, your song, your dance, everything is coming together, and the seal around the stone, the magic of the words has started to begin to be able to creep over the boundary into the seal. And it's taking over the stone, and it's kind of burning it away. And what appears to you, sleepy and confused, Jax especially will recognize this. And all of you will recognize it from folklore. Sleepy and confused arises out of the crumbling ash where the letters are now pushing into the ground underneath it. A Hakam serpent. Hakam serpents are a very big deal, especially in Koboa. They are, I had a prop here, but we luckily did not need it. Hakam serpents are creatures of wisdom. They have one head that is a cougar and one head that is a llama. The llama is known for patience, long-term thinking. The cougar is known for thinking in the now, being very spontaneous, but also impatient.
Oh.
And slowly, this gigantic creature rears up and looks at you. And it looks like it's shaking off a daze. It looks ill. It looks confused. Who are you? One head starts and the other finishes. And what happened? It's
Tala, sorry,
Mhm.
go on. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not going to. Well, for expediency's sake, we will say that you fill in on the conquistadors.
Okay.
And it realizes that it is in a temple it used to support. And it will explain, well, one head. So the cougar head is named Zaha. The llama head is named Aha. And Zaha and Aha fight and squabble as they will in between. Their magic, now no longer being incorrectly suppressed, floods the area, but it silences the whispers because it is now more in control, but only enough that it can't really stop everything else that's currently happening, which is the glow of the temple is pulsating out of control. And it sniffles around and it senses the presence of the other serpent that is in your possession in your orb. And both Zaha and Aha, although Aha is a lot llamas are a lot sleepier. He really couldn't stand all of the stress as much, so he's participating slightly less. But Zaha looks at you, all of you, and recognizes the joy you have brought back to their temple. And that you have freed them, because these are not creatures that are supposed to ever stay in one spot longer than they need to be. He just stops by. Aha blesses something. Zaha blesses something. They share wisdom. They share recipes. They take some joys with them on their journey and they continue. But now they were trapped here. They sniff specifically up to Tala because you have the orb. I sense you have something that would help us.
And
What?
Tala,
No, go ahead. You're good.
Tala
Please.
draws out the orb and presents it and says, "We're happy to help."
You gave much joy to the temple. We feel your song. We feel your stories. We feel your passions for food, for humor, for life. And we sense great joy within all of your hearts. And great food. Not the point. That's not the point. There's one of the claws comes up and is like shoving Aha's head down. You can't really go far. They're attached to the neck, shoving it away. We cannot give you much in repayment. But you creatures seem to really like these. And they drop something at Jax's feet before turning back to Tala. And they nudge towards the orb, asking like you to raise it up higher because they're quite tall. This is a little low.
And Paula does that. She raises it up above her head because she's only like 5 feet tall. So.
And the serpent crawls into this ball and it becomes small. And you can see now it's the other serpent has lifted its head and they're sniffing each other. Fond recognition is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're mutually going to sleep where they will need to rest for a very long time. Luckily, you'll be able to bring them back to Mitsa. Jax, would you like to look at what's at your feet?
Indubitably.
There's about 12 slightly shattered, but maybe even belonging together, definitely belonging to something else, pieces of unknown form tablets. You can't read them, you can't recognize them, but you do recognize that this is an invaluable treasure that has probably been being protected here by that serpent, even under duress and even under captivity, because it recognized that it was important to your joy and your expression as people. And with that note of this temple glowing, luckily ways out and up appearing to you, because the temple has come back to life and is no longer being trapped in its own energy, is where we're going to end. You guys are going to be able to go home. You're going to be able to share these joys. People are going to be able to come to the temple now that it is safe, and they're going to be able to restore it. And you guys can return to the festival that was based on this wonderful tradition. And you'll probably have another beautiful story to share, which definitely gets you more earrings and food. The cycle of life is the cycle of joy. And it's also a big part of Koboa and the messaging behind Koboa, which is that our cultures are here, they are varied, they are beautiful, they have endured, and they have not just survived, they are surviving to thrive. So, thank you for joining us for La Aventura. I would like to give a huge thank you to my beautiful and amazing cast by letting them tell you about who they are, where you can find them. And we're going to start with the wonderful, amazing, very brave Katrina.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me and having me on. I've been super interested in this game for a very long time, since I first heard of Koboa. So it's really an honor to be here. My name's Katrina. My pronouns are she and they. And I am a writer, producer, TTRPG performer, and assorted other things that I can't think of right now. I am also the co-host of Pedro Pascal, the podcast about Pedro Pascal. And we have the Mandalorian season finale coming up soon, this coming week. So go ahead and follow us everywhere at Pedro Pascal. I am doing a lot of really cool stuff everywhere, all over the place over the next few months. So go ahead and follow me anywhere on the internet at Okatrina. That's OHCATRINA. And it has been such an honor playing with you all. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, of course. And then we have Randy.
Hey everyone, I'm Randy Alvarenga. I am a TTRPG presenter and actor based out of the Pacific Northwest here. You can find me on Twitter at Roller Raja. That's ROLLERRAJA to see a lot. I post all of like the TTRPG stuff and projects that I work on there. You can also find me on my website. All of those things are in the link that I think TTRP Shifts is putting in the chat. But most of all, I just feel really honored to get to be at a table with other great storytellers and telling stories that like reflect who I am in my culture as a Salvadoreño and an African American person. And I just am glad that there are people making these kinds of stories. And I hope that you look at Koboa and you see parts of you in it and that you sign on for the newsletter, because I think it's a really special project. So glad to be a part.
And then we have the inimitable Chris.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris, pronouns he, him. I am a voice actor and also TTRPG, go brain, AP performer and producer. You can catch me at all my links, which are probably down below right there. And with that, in terms of where you can find me on my Twitter. It's VO_CULON. And if you want to see me be a facilitator, GM, guide, whatever you want to describe it, I'm going to be 2 weeks from now, so the 28th, I'll be on Bad House RPG producing, but also facilitating a game of Quest, their first high fantasy, so that's going to be very fun, with a bunch of wonderful PLC cast members, which you'll probably know more about soon if you go follow that Twitter over there. In terms of this game was very wonderful. I think this setting is fantastic. I loved everything about it, especially playing with all these wonderful people. So if you do have the time, go check out this wonderful book, as I think there's a lot of stories that can be told from this that people are dying and waiting and can't wait to hear.
And then finally, hi, hello, I'm Brandy Rose. My pronouns are he, him. And I am the producer, showrunner behind this, but also the game master. And I'm a queer, disabled Latina producer. I'm Mexican and indigenous, native Middle American, aka specifically Amuri, which I'm very, very proud of. And I'm a director, I'm a writer, I'm an actor, as well as a game designer myself, talk show host, podcast producer, network owner, all of these things. Spend a lot of time also volunteering and teaching other people, especially other people of color, how to do anything that I do and how to advance their own creative goals. Like, for example, running all Indigenous shows, running all Latin shows. And it has been an absolute honor for me to work on this production, to be hired to create this AP with a specifically all Latina cast. You guys are all wonderful. I'm always looking forward to getting my friends into hired gigs, getting my friends onto tables together, playing with you guys for fun, and doing it to share a beautiful message, which is that all of our cultures are here. And they are beautiful. They deserve to be shared. And of course, I also could not have ever done any of this without the absolute loving support from both Utopia. Thank you very much for hosting us today. And TTRP Gyps, thank you very much for hosting us, as well as being the tech producer for both of these beautiful episodes. And then thank you so much to Adrian and Sean for hiring me, for creating Koboa, for creating this beautiful, beautiful project, which for anybody who came in late is a South American setting book, which is for D&D 5e, but also compatible with Black Flag and Pathfinder 2. And just a beautiful setting and book to read in general already. Just reading it has been such a joy. And you should, in order to support it, subscribe to the mailing list at koboasetting.com. Link will be in the description or in the chat, depending on when you're watching this. So please subscribe there and go follow the Kickstarter page so that you can keep up to date with everything that is happening. And you can make sure to support this project and snag it when you can, because you should. I want to see 8,000 APs. So that is a wrap on where you can find us and what we do. Of course, I think I did not say my socials, but that is okay. They are on there. It's at the Brand Girls on Twitter, and that's the one that will find you anything you want. Thank you so much for spending some of your Sunday with me, or whatever time and day you're watching this. Thank you so much for letting us show you pieces of our culture and our values, and just sharing our joy with you guys. So thank you for helping us keep this cycle of life alive. And we will see you guys hopefully again someday here in Koboa. Thank you.
Children, would you like to hear a story?
Yes, please.
Quero sim. Conta, 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 conta.
It begins when the world was new. Before the gods sent the cataclysm to destroy the Yutgod, the first giant. The Yutgod made works of magic and beauty unlike anything known today. Many of their works were lost in the destruction wrought by the colonizers. Now your parents are seeking clues to where these might be found.
Why were they lost? Didn't the colonizers want the Yukon relics?
The colonizers didn't care about the history or magic of Koboa. All they cared about was mage gold. Their greed and obsession twisted our land and many of its creatures. Even now, some see these sacred relics as nothing but treasures to be bought and sold. But stone seekers, like your parents, find that which has been lost and return it to rightful hand. So much has been destroyed. Now is a time of reclaiming and rebuilding. All the things that once were will come again. Koboa.